And one thing that I remember, and I think this was like maybe 2015, I was just, starting to build my business and build my community. And I wanted a mentor. And I'd asked three women to mentor me because these are women that I looked up to. I'm like, oh, she's so incredible. She's so fierce. I love the way she moves. I love the way she works. And I got three no's. I was devastated. So don't be afraid of rejection because rejection is just redirection. And you never know when something else is meant for you. Hey, welcome back. In this episode, we're talking about 5 secrets to facing your fears. And I really, really love this. Y'all know I wrote the book, Let Your Fears Make You Fierce. And it is all about facing everything and rising. And I say that so much. It's an acronym. We've heard it before, but what does that really mean? And how do you actually do it? Well, today I'm going to give you the steps that I've taken over and over and over again to help me face my fears and let my fears make me fierce, right? Okay, so the first thing, let's just talk about the acronym face everything and rise. But most of the times we want to forget everything and run when fear comes up, whether it be fear of relationship, fear of a new job. And for me, the first time I experienced anxiety was around the fear of public speaking. I was a ham in my family, around my family. I could talk them up a tree and all the things. But when it came to speaking in public, I remember the first thing I had to do was Easter speech at Sunday church. And I remember my mom still has a video of me standing in front of everyone, looking at me. And I just burst out crying like the ugly face cry. And I just cried and cried and cried and cried until she finally was like, all right, I guess she's not going to stop. She's not going to say her speech. And so I just sat down. Now, I did eventually the next year and, other years I said Easter speeches, but when it came to giving a public speech, I was still very, very nervous. But I had to do it because I wanted a scholarship. I wanted to go to college, and there was this big opportunity to get a scholarship for college. And all I had to do was give a speech on why college was important. So I was like, you know what? I'm ready to face my fears. I'm not going to forget everything and run, because the other acronym that I love and I share in my book is that fears are false evidence appearing real, right? And the false thing was that I'm not a great speaker. In my mind, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stumble over my words. And still to this day, sometimes I stumble over my words. And it's okay. I might say something wrong still to this day. I say things like, oh, I actually meant that the other way around, right? And now I have enough confidence because I've followed these steps that I can actually speak. I can fumble my words. I can say things backwards. I can, right now my nose is dripping, but I still feel like it's okay, right? I don't have this crushing anxiety, or I don't feel like I'm a bad person if I'm human, right? And so let me talk about the steps. The first step is just to acknowledge your fear. Like, my fear is that I'm not going to be good enough. That was my biggest fear, that no matter how much I studied, no matter how much I practiced, that it just wasn't going to be good enough. Someone's going to criticize me or tell me how trash it was. And I was raised in a very strict family. So that fear came from being judged very harshly when I was growing up. So it was a fear that was very real for me. And so even though what people would tell me like, oh yeah, you don't have anything to be afraid of, I still felt it in my body because on a daily basis, I experienced judgment of pretty much everything that I did. And so when it came to speaking, I was just like, oh goodness, this is going to be so hard. Now I'm going to have hundreds of people judging me. And so I was really, really scared, to the point I would have anxiety. I would just choke up, even to the point I would lose my voice sometimes. And so I really had to conquer this fear. So the first step was just acknowledging, like, I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do it. And I don't know if this is going to go away. So the second step is kind of tied to the first one, acknowledging it and then embracing the challenge. So I had to say, if I want this scholarship bad enough, I'm going to have to embrace the challenge of moving forward with it. And I truly believe challenges are opportunities for growth. right? So the challenge was I wanted to speak and I wanted to get this scholarship. But the beautiful thing was, once I learned how to speak, it was going to help me in other areas of life as well. So that was my opportunity for growth and evolution. So I took the challenge and I wrote the speech out, I practiced it, and eventually I gave the speech. But I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. But it took me saying I'm willing to take on this challenge, even though I'm fearful, even though I'm scared, even though I have anxieties, my knees are knocking, my voice is shaking. I'm still going to move forward. I'm still going to do it anyway. So no matter what it is in your life, that you're scared to do, whether it be singing. That was another fear that I faced. Like, I used to sing in the choir. But one day, my dad, just, getting tired of me yelling on the microphone, told me to shut up. And I translated that into, I'm not a great singer. And so I stopped singing for so many years because I felt like I sound terrible. My dad doesn't even want to hear me sing and he loves me, And I started this negative cycle in my head of how I wasn't a great singer. And no one wanted to hear me. But that just wasn't the truth. I was just annoying in that moment, And so I had to really embrace the challenge, not only with my speaking, but also with my singing and just allow my voice to be heard. So no matter what challenge is happening in your life, if you really want to face your fears, if you want to be fierce, you do have to say, I'm going to move forward anyway. Even though I have this fear, I'm going to move forward with my knees shaking and my teeth chattering. And I'm going to try. I'm going to embrace the challenge. Now, the third step is exposing yourself to whatever it is you want to learn. So with speaking, I got with a speaking coach and, I just learned every day how to enunciate, how to speak, how to project my voice, how to use my hands, how to use storytelling to become a better speaker. So I had to take notes and I had to practice on telling my story. I had to practice on, following my notes and remembering things. I had to practice on all these things until I got them down, right? So I kept exposing myself and then I would listen to others. It's another really great tool to do. If something you want to do, look at others, do your research and development and look at others that are great speakers. And I used to look at people like Lisa Nichols. She was one of my favorite speakers. I just love how she told her stories and she commanded the stage. And I would just look at people like her. I would listen to Oprah and I would just be like, oh, I want to be able to connect like that and to really make impact in that way. And eventually my voice came, right? But it took me exposing myself to others who were doing it. It took myself, like, really putting myself out there in order to take it to the next level. And next is mindfulness techniques. Now, let me tell you, I know I'm a meditation and yoga teacher, but I'm not just saying that because I'm that, but meditating when you wake up in the morning or when you're really scared to do something is really going to help you calm your nervous system. And my favorite is breath work, that deep inhale and exhale and just finding the breath, especially when you start to feel anxiety in your body, you start to get nervous, your jaws clench up. Actually, like before you go out on the stage or before you meet someone you're nervous about meeting, or before you go in for that job interview or that acting, casting call, make sure you take the deep breaths, maybe move around, do some somatic movement and shaking to release that tense energy from your body. And that's going to help you loosen up so that you can show up fully, not your fear. You don't want your fear to show up in that interview, in wherever it is you want to present. You want you to show up. You want your light to show up. You want this love you had inside of you to like ooze out of you. But in order to do that, you got to face your fears and you got to just release it energetically from your body. And I find mindfulness practice, again, my number one is breathing. Another thing that I like to do, especially when I feel like nervousness is in my body, is a cold shower. And if you don't have time for a cold shower, you can even go to the bathroom, just get some cold water on your face. I remember when I would drive to meetings, when I would have meetings in LA and going to casting calls, I would actually blow cold air on my face. And not only would it close my pores and have me glowing, but it also would help me just reduce inflammation and also help me release tense energy. And also, I would run hot. So it'll help me cool off. And that would help me perform better. So making sure that you get that cool air, maybe a cool water on your face, take a cold shower. Those things are going to help you feel your best and feel refreshed and release some of that tension, that energy, that fear. And some people sing. I love singing. Sometimes in the car, I turn on my favorite music. I turn on my Beyonce, my Cardi B, my Rihanna, kind of I got this, anything that's empowering, my Tony Jones. I just turn on my music and I just affirm myself and I get in my power and I feel like I am the fiercest woman on the planet. So find that motivational music that really makes you feel fierce, and play that. And also, like, one part of my mindfulness is the way I dress. Like, I like to dress comfortable. And sometimes when I want to be fierce, I put on that red or that pink or something that makes me feel fierce in my body. But more than anything, I like being comfortable. So I usually put on something that makes me feel comfortable. But especially when I do interviews, I like to put on a little pop of color, especially when I want to exude like boss energy. So it's really exciting when you play with these things. You'd be amazed how different color really affect your mood. Like red gives you energy, blue calms you down. Green makes you feel, serenity as if you're in nature. So all of these things are helping you so that you can face your fears and be fierce. And then the last thing is seek support. Like you are not alone. So whether it be an accountability partner, you can do your speeches with, whether it be a family member that can listen to you sing or like go over your interview for you or practice your lines with you, whatever it is you're doing. Or if it's someone you're practicing your yoga and you're scared to teach and you just want to have like a friend or a family member like practice the class with you. Let me give you a free class. Let me give you this free offering that I have. Practice and get people to support you. Let people know what you're doing. You do not have to do it alone. And when you mess up, you can laugh about it. You can ask them for feedback and, make them tell you the truth. This is what I've done in every area of your life. I'm getting someone, I give them free sessions. Even when it came to food, I was like, okay, taste my food because I don't know. Does this taste good? If it doesn't, I'm going to change it. I think it tastes good, but do you think it tastes good? So this applies to any area of your life. Seek support, get an accountability partner, or get a coach that can really help you, especially if you're elevating your career, you're an entrepreneur, you want to go to the next level. One of the best things I've done is invest in coach and join communities of people that have the same goal. And that can really help you be motivated when you get discouraged, when you get sad, when your negative thinking starts to click in, when you start feeling that imposter syndrome. Having a community that's like, we're doing this together, we're scared together, we're still moving forward together, will really help you out. Or having a coach to say, okay, I see your fear here, why don't we try this instead? Or I see you're struggling here, let's try this instead. Someone that can really guide you along the way can help you out, because no matter how good you are at something, there's some areas that you might be more weak in. And having support in your weak areas is really going to help you move forward and have this consistency and growth that you're looking for. And one thing that I remember, and I think this was like, what year was this? Like maybe 2015. And I was just, starting to build my business and build my community. And I wanted a mentor. And I'd asked 3 women to mentor me because these are women that I looked up to. I'm like, oh, she's so incredible. She's so fierce. I love the way she moves. I love the way she works. And I got 3 no's. I was devastated. So don't be afraid of rejection, because rejection is just redirection. And you never know when something else is meant for you, right? Sometimes when we get rejected, we think, oh man, no one wants to help me. I feel all alone. But they might have something going on in their lives that you know nothing about. Because I felt rejected. I was like, why wouldn't you mentor me? I thought you want to help women. And I thought, I was so confused. And I beat myself up for many years of like, oh man, no one is going to want to mentor you because, you've had no 3 times. And every time I heard a no, I felt like, then I asked one of the women later, I always wondered like, what was going on. They were going through a divorce at the time and they felt like that they really just couldn't support me. They felt like I was doing great. And so it wasn't even about me at all. It was about them. And a lot of people you might look up to or want to mentor you, they might not not be in the space to help and support you. But years later, I asked my current mentor and my spiritual mother, Queen Afua, I told her about my past, and I had really given up. Like, I've got coaches, but I'd really given up on like looking for a mentor. But something spiritually just encouraged me to like ask her to be my mentor. And when I asked her, she said yes. And she is a huge reason going through her 12 gateways, going through the sacred woman, and going through just her way of living and way of being and her course, impeccable listening. Like everything she's poured into my life has helped me grow and evolve and heal into the woman that I am today. So I'm so happy that I didn't give up. So no matter how many times you hear no, don't give up asking for support, especially if you know you need that support. And it could be years and years later, but try again. Don't give up because sometimes you're just waiting to align with the person that is perfect for you. And sometimes that takes time. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions on the secrets to facing your fears, remember you can pick up my book, Let Your Fears Make You Fierce, How to Turn Common Obstacles into Seeds for Growth. I also have like a portion in there starting on page 99 where you can actually take a quiz on your chakras, your spiritual energy centers, and find out, how's your root doing? How's your sacral doing? If you've never heard of that before, then check it out. It's something that I never knew about. I think I should do a podcast episode just on the chakras alone, but they really helped me realize where I was off and where I needed to put more intention at in my physical body, in my actions, in my rituals to help me balance out my everyday energy. And so check out the book. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, anything you want to hear more or less of on the podcast, I love, love, love your feedback. Find me on social, DM me. And if you love this episode, don't forget to leave a review. I love 5-star reviews. I also love feedback. So if it's not 5 stars, message me and let me know what you didn't like. Let me know how I can do better, how I can serve you better. It only helps me grow. All right. Thank you so much. And until next time, love yourself, love others, and love the world one day at a time, one breath at a time. Peace and love.